All right, everyone. Hey, here we go. We are in Environmental Science 20. This is the class. We are looking at Chapter 7 today. This is going to be video 1 of 2. And you should have the notes in front of you. If you check on my website, mrmathwell.com, you should see that there is a copy of student blank notes right here. And that's the notes. These are the notes I'm going to be going over with you right now. And so I'll be filling in these, helping you fill in these blanks as we go through this video. So here we go. Essential science background before we get into 7.1, talking about watersheds. A watershed is a drainage basin into in a region where all the water that in that region drains to either an ocean or another large water body. So on page 211 in your textbook, you will see a diagram much like the one in your notes here. It's a diagram of the major watersheds in North America. So I'm going to actually make this a bit bigger for just the video right now. And what you can see in this video here is that where we are right now in Saskatchewan, here's the Prairie Provinces, okay, right around here. And all of the water in our lakes and rivers end up going towards Hudson Bay. So where does our water go to? Where we live right here, Hudson Bay. If you lived in BC or to the west of the Great Divide, which would be the ridge of mountains right here, I believe that's bordering BC and Alberta, then west of that, the water would drain to the Pacific Ocean. Now there is one, this is kind of cool, a great basin here that water drains towards as well. Interesting, in the low-lying area there. But in the States, most of the States, the water heads to the Gulf of Mexico, and in the eastern part of the States in Canada, the water heads to the Atlantic Ocean, and of course up north goes to Arctic. So those are the watersheds, and yeah, eventually our water would, if it got all the way to an ocean, our water would go to Hudson Bay, and then ultimately to the Atlantic Ocean, I guess, over there, Northern Atlantic. Okay, 7.1. Let's talk about this. Chapter 7 talks about solid waste management. So in section 7.1, we are talking about solid waste. What is solid waste? Solid waste is any solid or semi-solid, that's partially solid material, that is discarded. So anything that you throw away or that you flush down the toilet is discarded. That is solid waste. That is in solid or semi-solid form. The term waste stream is a metaphor, so it's not like a river or a stream that way. It's a metaphor for describing the path that waste takes from its use, whether it's in your home or wherever it is, to its final destination in a landfill or wherever it's going to end up. So the waste stream, different products enter the waste stream at different times. And of course, when we talk about recycling, you know, we can get products out of that waste stream and use them again, and then they might kind of get looped outside of the waste stream before they're finally end of life and discarded. And that's, of course, the goal, right? To reduce, reuse, and recycle so that we have less waste to deal with. There are three main categories of waste. First is agricultural waste, agricultural solid waste. Farms, ranches, and feedlots are sources of agricultural waste, including animal waste and organic matter left over after feeding animals and after harvesting crops. Rainwater runoff can carry waste product chemicals into surface and groundwater. Some microorganisms, like E. coli, can harm human health. So here is some agricultural solid waste, corn cobs left over in a field that seem to be neglected or they're rotten up there. And of course, this is a feedlot. We have lots of cattle in one confined area. There's lots of waste that they produce, and you know, there's agricultural solid waste there. Number 2, industrial solid waste includes all solids waste from manufacturing, construction, mining, and other industries. This includes garbage and materials, but also mine tailings. You remember mine tailings, the kind of the byproducts of the mining process, which can be chemically and radioactively harmful. And some of those substances can be kind of like, you know, mixed in with water and can be, you know, discarded. And there's restrictions according to, you know, how these should be handled and discarded. And obviously, you know, you see some signage here that this is hazardous waste material. Lots of times they have to be contained a special way. And sometimes if it's lower level waste, it can be just sent into a stream or a local pond to be dealt with later. 3, the third type of waste is municipal waste. It's sometimes abbreviated MSW, municipal solid waste. It includes garbage, both organic and inorganic, Canada produces a large amount of municipal waste compared to other parts of the world. Municipal waste consists of paper, organic waste, metals, glass, plastic, and other miscellaneous types. Things like cat litter, clothing, tires, wood products, you name it, whatever you kind of see in garbage trucks and that kind of thing. You can imagine all the different varying types of waste we have. And municipal means just kind of from towns and cities and things like that. A landfill, did I miss anything down at the bottom? No. Okay, what's a landfill? A landfill is a disposal site for solid waste, where the waste is buried between layers of soil. Filling in low-lying ground often is what happens, because obviously the waste piles up. So if you start filling in a low-level spot, it takes a while to build up to just ground level. But this is, here's a picture of a landfill where there's lots of waste being kind of shuffled around here, bulldozed. There's often lots of birds in the summer around dumps and stuff, because these birds, seagulls, like in that picture, like the garbage, and there's lots of little bits of sandwich and cheese and meat that they like to eat and find. But we've talked a little bit about this, and there's more information in your textbook. But a landfill, basically, they pile garbage, and they put dirt and stuff on top of it and let the solid waste sort of decompose naturally, which produces gas, lots of methane that is just burned off into, sort of inert products that can be disposed of in the atmosphere fairly easily. There's also monitoring pipes. So notice that beneath the landfill, there would be some kind of water table, and the groundwater is what people, suck up from their wells and stuff to drink. And so there would be testing ports, monitoring wells, both for gas, anything leaking into the layers of rock and things, and also for the water. So this monitoring well right here, for example, on the left, would test the water underneath the landfill on kind of one side of it. And then if the water is flowing this way, you can kind of tell if anything's leaking from the landfill if you were to examine the water on the other side. So pull a sample from the other side. If there's a difference, or if there's an increased level in some bad chemical, then you got a problem, right? So that's how they kind of try and keep things safe. There's liquid that kind of like settles and piles up here, as well as gas and all that sort of stuff that's produced because of the decomposition. You can read more about this on page 216 in your textbook. All right, leachate is a liquid from landfills composed of chemicals from garbage. So the kind of the liquidy ooze, when things start to decompose, that's leachate. Landfill gas is gas produced in landfills due to the decomposition of garbage. Lots of times there's carbon dioxide and different things that are gases, methane, that are produced when things decompose. And so obviously if everything's underground, that gas is going to kind of bubble up and it's going to need to be released. So landfill gas is a issue as well. It's difficult to find new spaces for garbage, as communities don't want landfills necessarily built where they live. And so finding a remote location for a landfill is sometimes an issue. Now, in our classroom right here, I look out the window. We're on the 4th floor of our building here. And I can look out across the city and I can see a little mound of dirt way in the distance. That's our landfill. And as the city grows, kind of grows around the landfill, right? Like, they kind of tend to build new houses going in different directions. They stay away from the landfill, but certainly it's encroaching. And a lot of the building that's happening closer to the landfill ends up to be like industrial and commercial stuff, not where people live, right? Live right beside a big garbage dump. But there'll be offices and different, manufacturing facilities that don't mind being close to a garbage dump, let's say. So there's lots of that. Zoning is usually commercial, industrial zoning, not necessarily residential. Okay, let's talk about thermal treatment. Okay, treatment of solid waste basically is like what to do with it. Okay, how do you treat it? Like how do you get rid of it? How do you deal with it? So thermal is heat, right? Thermal is the word for heat. So thermal treatment of solid waste includes processing solid waste at very high temperatures. Okay, and burning is one of the ways that you can thermally treat, but not the only way. So there's a video that we're going to watch there on thermal treatment, so you can watch that online. Again, that video is right here, thermal treatment, MrMathWell.com, in the Environmental Science 20 page. Oops, where am I going here? Okay, so you can watch that on your own. This is generally a little bit of a diagram of a thermal treatment plant. So you dump your garbage in there. It's pumped into a certain place where it is thermally treated or burned. The gases are filtered. Okay, there's a bunch of filters, and there's liquid that maybe condenses out and stuff like that. The heat is often used to heat water or to move turbines or to generate electricity somehow. And then the little bits, the smaller parts that are left over, are pumped out. And the thing is, with burning, producing heat, producing gas, that kind of stuff, a lot of that, it reduces the volume of the garbage quite a bit. So you could do something with the heat that's generated, and also you reduce the volume quite a bit from incinerating. So incineration is the most common type of thermal treatment, which is simply burning the garbage. And this incineration plant, like I say, protects the environment by not releasing all of the chemicals that are released when you burn stuff. Like, you can imagine melting plastics and burning explosive hairspray cans or whatever. Like, you can imagine all the garbage that would be released into the air, right, that we would then breathe in. So they very carefully filter that out and treat that so that it's less harmful as it leaves the facility. I don't know, I thought I'd just kind of clip this little diagram here, this little thing here. It's a conference on thermal treatment technology. So I mean, think about it. If you become an engineer, or you become a research scientist, or if you're in manufacturing, if you're in project management, you might go to a conference like this someday, where you learn about effective ways, safe ways, efficient ways, cost-effective ways of thermally treating garbage. And I mean, they have big conferences and they have organizations that deal with this. And so who knows, this may be your world someday. Maybe you'll get up and you're being, honey, I'm going to the thermal treatment technology conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I'll see you in a few days. So I mean, I don't know. You probably don't think about that when you're in high school, right? I'm going to a thermal treatment waste conference. Okay, it's an international conference. 1,000 people there learning how to burn garbage. Okay, but yeah, it's maybe your life. Okay, so pyrolysis. No, pyrotechnics, right? That's like explosion and stuff, right? The fireworks and things, pyrotechnics. So pyro is another kind of word prefix for burning or igniting in some way. It's like burning, but it happens at lower temperatures in the absence of oxygen. Okay, so it's not traditionally incineration or burning without oxygen. It does produce other residues. One common one is called syngas, which is a mixture of gas and air pollutants. So it's kind of nasty stuff. Basically, pyrolysis is cheaper. It happens at lower temperatures. But you do produce sort of this partially incinerated sort of gross gas that you have to deal with. So yeah, I mean, pyrolysis series, they're kind of a low-level burn. A lot of the stuff goes to the landfill. Some of the products you have to do some more upgrading to, and they can be used again or discarded safely. But it's still different than incineration, straight burning. Okay, finally, the third one is gasification. Gasification. So it's basically making gas. Okay, turning something into gas, gasifying. When solid waste is thermally processed with limited oxygen, so some oxygen, but again, it's kind of an incomplete burn as well. It stops short of full and total combustion, as in the incineration process. This produces syngas as well, and it's just a little different even than pyrolysis. So it has a little bit of oxygen, so there's a little bit more burning going on. There's still residue, there's still syngas, very much like pyrolysis, but different facility, different costs and things like that. So again, there is a video on gasification. I will point you to advanced gasification right here. That's the video you want to watch at this point in the video. So go ahead to mrmathwell.com and you should see that video up. And again, it just kind of goes through what the gasification process is, gives you some diagrams and some animations, and yeah, go ahead and have fun looking at that. And that comes to the end of our first video, and the second video starts right here, and that will be video 2 of 2 for chapter 7. Bye.